Reynolds and
Here he is.
Yeah, I'll start with a bucket fill. I appreciate so much how many people are in this office on a day-to-day basis when a lot of people were at family reunion last week. It was quiet here. And so just the energy that this office typically has is really awesome to walk into every day. So welcome back, everybody.
that's awesome.
I'll bucket fill Alex. We had her come to us about a transaction that Great North Title was not closing, but she was questioning the information that she was receiving. So we were able to help give her some guidance and ensure that she got her commission on her transaction. So just very thrilled that you trust us and you'll reach out to us.
Because they were great. I really, guys, and I didn't choose that title.
That's okay.
Very
I just shushed them.
Yeah, she's
Oh.
pushing it.
I love that.
Yeah, why not?
All right, right.
Like to bucket fill an agent that was here for a short time. She left and she came back. Her name is Jen Prezioso.
I think she's online right now.
Just had a transaction that we put together. She was a listing agent on a house in Prior Lake. It went into multiple offers, and my buyer was able to win in multiple offers. And part of it was her degree of professionalism and the communication. Literally every time I called Jen, every time she answered. It was like 6 times over 2 days. So pretty impressive level of professionalism, and we put it together and pretty excited. Dual agency, it's a win-win when you got agents like all of us. Pretty
Awesome. Super cool.
Jordan kind of ran the world while we were gone with
Like the entire world.
I think for all of our team and everybody. So thank you for everybody loved you. You did amazing. And
She
one of them
came,
was under contract and one of the places show. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna add to that because she came to work. She came here to work, and I'm like, why are you dressed up and you're like totally alert? Oh, I showed a bunch of houses for desserts. I'm like, well, what are you doing when you leave? Showing a bunch of other houses for desserts. Like literally all day. I was like, oh, that's amazing.
I think the best part was when Sherry said, "Hey, I need a house showing." She's like, "I'm busy. I'm showing houses for the dessert." I think that was the best part when we were at family reunion. She was like, "She can't even show my houses." That's awesome. All right, what else? What else is good?
I want to bucket fill Lydia for being awesome. Anytime we reach out for earnest money, a room, she is always responding within minutes.
Yeah, Lydia.
Yeah, we love Lydia.
I had an event last weekend. We had an event here and it went great. And
So, hey, that's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Anybody else have anything good? I mean, it's like nice out now. People are smiling. There aren't any colds. There's like a lot of good things. She's like, me.
I'm back in the game.
That is so awesome. So excited. Super cool.
I have 2. So, Great North Title. This is long overdue from a while ago, but I had a question regarding one of my management contracts, and how to do like the power of attorney. Like, I didn't know how to, if the daughter could sign for the parent, even though the parent's still alive, blah, blah, blah. So that, thank you. This helped me a lot. Really appreciate that. And then Kelly and your team for keeping me organized. You guys have been creating a transaction management process for my leasing and management, and you've been very patient with my 6 months of let me get back to you. So thank you.
We got the final piece yesterday.
Yay! So thank you.
Okay, I should.
I was like, I don't know. Awesome. All right, we will move on if we have nothing else. All right, so do you want to talk a little bit about this
Hanging out
piece
with
of
Jake,
the
you know?
refresh?
Okay, so just putting this out here again, we mentioned this, I don't know when, a couple weeks ago, that you can go through an agent refresh with Scott Leroy. Well, they'll go into your command, make sure all of your stuff is set up for you so that you're kind of ready to go. they have a long list of different things too that they can help you out with. So getting in contact with them, if you haven't already, please do so. And maybe you don't want them to do everything. Maybe you just want them to do little pieces. But by just connecting with them, they can kind of clean up some things that maybe you want, so you can really start using command to expose potential. Awesome. All right, so our
March, wow, it's March almost. All right, so we have some really cool classes coming up. How do you spell money? Which is obviously how you spell it on there. We've got our team meeting. We still have all of our Friday movies. If you guys, again, have any recommendations for the months ahead, it has to be PG or PG-13. Yes, I know there's a lot of great movies that are not that. However, those are the ones that we'll be playing on Fridays. We have our commercial meeting on the 11th and Taco Tuesday training. Again, show me the money. I think we all love that. And then we have Ask the Broker with Kevin on the 18th, our R&R on the 19th. Do we know where that is?
Yeah, but it's a secret. We'll let you know.
Well, we do have a request that when the Chi-Chi's comes to Minneapolis, we are having an R&R at the Chi-Chi's. I have no idea where it's gonna be, but I haven't been to one since I was like 10. So we are having it there. Angie even said it. There's that request.
It's at Rojo in West End. It's a cakewalk.
It's gonna
Be
be a
easy.
singles party.
That'll be easy.
I
Chi-Chi's.
thought it was a secret.
Wait,
So
Rojo,
that's-
Oh, Chi-Chi's is gonna be at Rojo's in West End. So when Chi-Chi's gone.
It's gonna be that close to my house. I was hoping it would be like, lame.
Hopefully it tastes the same.
I'm like, dang it. Okay, somebody's gonna come, we're going to West End again. And then
It's awesome.
bring it back in. I know, it's fun, bring it back in. 6 personal perspectives on the 25th. And then the 26th, we have our team meeting as well. Here's large letters down here, right? So like you, timing and our time is very precious, and the people that we have teaching the class is very precious. I know a lot of people get frustrated when the class isn't on, but when we have no people signed up for the class, it's really hard to teach a class to nobody, right? So please, 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 it's all clickable on here. So click the class, go in and register, because it also helps us know what it looks like for the audience, right? And even if you're gonna be on Zoom, click the class and just say, hey, I'm gonna show up. Doesn't matter if you're in Zoom or if you're in person, it just allows us to know how many people will be there. All right, who's gonna register for the classes that they're gonna attend?
Especially for the Taco Tuesday.
Perfect. And if you don't register for the Taco Tuesday classes, we just won't have enough food, and then that's just really sad. It makes me sad too. All right, next up.
Well, before we go forward, on the 20th, we always host March Madness Thursday thing. So I'll get out information for you, but FYI, put that on your calendars. The 20th is that Thursday, so we'll get it all out to you.
Awesome. Okay, so this is for every time you come to a training or a team meeting in the first quarter, we have, it's moved, I'll have to bring it back. Okay, it's not back there, but it will be back there, little tickets to put in. And it's a drawing, it's a giveaway of $500. And that one is actually $500 of your choice when you win it, right? So we get you a gift card to whatever store that you want or wherever you want for $500 when you win. So please, please do it. And it also encourages you to come to trainings. Any questions around that? All right. Okay, so number one, I want to thank everybody that gave me a warm lead, brought someone to training. It was great, great relationship building moments, right? I mean, all of the people that were brought in are either still in conversation or potentially on their way into the market center, which I absolutely can't thank you enough on that, because it makes things a lot smoother for me and them, quite honestly, so that it's like, hey, guess what? This person trusts this market center. So thank you. There's a lot of names in here, actually. Do you want to take it?
Me?
No?
No, I
Do
can.
you
I'm
want to hold it? I
surprised.
can pick it up. Okay.
I can, sure.
Well, just
I'm-
look at the
I'm so
names.
dumb.
Cheater.
Don't worry, everything's fine. We're good. Let's see it. Oh.
Heather Terry.
I think she had a showing today at, like, 11:30 or something. So she was online for a little bit. So congratulations to that. And she gets a $500 gift card, Delta gift card. So, hopefully we can use that to go to Mega Camp. He's like, no. All right, so this is super cool to see. I mean, we had even more people than are up here, to see the amount of people that went to family reunion. We talk a lot about different trainings. We talk about showing up to, events that are outside of the state, right? And it takes a lot of time. Everybody has other things going on. They're running big businesses. They have families. And we ended up having 16 people, in Las Vegas, which was a ton of fun. And it was a really long time in Vegas. But what we're gonna do today is just talk about some of the ahas, some of the things that they're implementing. And then I think we can probably go into more of a question and answer, moment. Are we okay with that? Okay. Who wants to start? Let's share a little bit of the experience first, and then we can go into kind of our ahas. I know, right? Just someone's got to start it.
So every minute of it was like totally booked, like from early morning to late night kind of thing, whether it's all the different breakouts, the different sessions and social aspects. So super busy, super fun, you know, I'd say it was equally as fun as it was educational, like every other paper, the whole office bond and make some great memories.
I just love Bethany's smile as you say that.
I only lost $200. I did okay.
Lost a lot of Jacob.
No, Jacob lost my money. And then he
I'm glad you could tell there was a lot of fun had. All right, anything to add to that, Alex?
No, it's awesome. Should I just start with some notes?
No, we're gonna go into everyone's experience first, and then we'll go into notes. All right, what else? Who was the first time ever going to family reunion? Okay, I would love to hear what you have to say as well, right? Because you haven't been there before, and and you can probably speak a little bit to how it compares to Mega Camp as well.
A lot more going on than Mega Camp, I would say.
Okay.
A lot bigger, a lot more people. Better opportunity to go deep on what you want to go deep on with the classes. Cool. But also cool to hang out with a big group of people in the office.
And we even managed to all go out to dinner together in Vegas. It was a
How'd that
little
go?
off the strip, but it was phenomenal Thai food. And I think we probably made our server insane. But she did great. She did great.
We had 2 servers.
So we had 2 servers. I was talking to definitely a girl the whole time.
Ours had more boy.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I was just very aware of this side of the table, and they were very aware of that side of the table.
So for anyone that hasn't gone to family reunion, the format is that in the mornings you're in big session in a big convention center room. The first 2 days is Gary Keller talking about, the first day is usually economic information, which is always really great. And they will have those slides uploaded to command. I'm not sure when, it usually takes a couple.
I think they're there, yeah.
I would really encourage anyone to like go back and look through that. Some stats that really surprised me is the average age of first time home buyer has gone up significantly, so that's now 38 years old. But, so you have big session in the morning, and then in the afternoon, there's breakouts where you can pick like what topics you wanna go deep on.
It's everything. It's like leadership, team building, social media, marketing.
Buyers, sellers.
Recruiting. Tons of stuff.
And if you go every year, you get something different with basis of wherever your business is that year, where you personally are kind of thing. You might go to a similar thing, but it's like take away totally different things every.
And it's really good people teaching them. I mean, like some of the like biggest teams in KW are teaching them, like Glover, Lucio, a bunch of people from Kinney's teams, like really, really big teams that have a lot of knowledge to share. And they're real good teachers. Like they're real good at actually getting the information you want and not just like giving it at such a high level that it's worthless. Like it actually feels valuable and applicable to what you're doing right now.
Well, and I mean, in most of it, they say exactly what each agent's GCI is. I mean, we were sitting there and calculating every like average commission. Cause it was like, ooh, that's 4.2. What are they? Come on. It's, you know, it's like, this guy had like $4.2 million in GCI, but he had like 334 transactions or whatever. And then there was a woman that had like 2.1 and she only had like, you know, like 100 transactions. I was like, wow. I mean, 34,000 like average GCI seems pretty great, right? So you can also like figure out what business, like what their business looks like when you kind of look at the numbers as well. All right, what else? What are other, just the experience before we go into some of the ahas and notes that we took?
For me, I was a very last minute ad. For those who know, and Bethany's persuasion.
But
But
I'm telling you, you gotta go to the R&Rs because you never know what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna say that.
went to Vegas 24 hours later, you don't know.
Legitimately, on our way to Vegas.
But for me, I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't do my research going into it. I thought it was gonna be more like rah, Keller Williams, like, but it was not that. It was an economic summit, and I had so many more takeaways and dive into the topics that I wanted to learn and execute for this year. So it blew me away all day, learning nonstop, and it's just the value, the macro and microeconomics, the just the topics on it, not a rah, go be the best you. It was here's takeaways, go implement them, have success. So I really liked stuff.
I can also speak to just being in an environment full of people who are like committed and wanting to do better and seeing so many of those people. I mean, how many agents signed up for me? Like signed up for him? It was like how many thousands?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, like 10,000 people run around a convention center, all people doing the same things with all different production levels, committed to better. And it's just like it's huge classrooms full of people, dead silent, fully paying. That never happens, you know, because it's people who are committed to what they're doing. And it's just such a good environment to be in. And there's so many, it's a nice place to like feel that. Because I know like the classes are great, everything's phenomenal, but just being like reminded like, oh, these people care and I care. And this is fun. And it's a nice way to like get the fire started again. If you're ever feeling a little sluggish in your business or not sure about like what you want to do for growth, it's a great way to kick that into gear and remind you what you're doing and what you're doing.
Well, I think to that point, like, I was actually talking to you about this on the phone yesterday. I'm like, no matter what nugget you took from that, you're always the person that's standing in your way, right? I mean, every person up on that stage, whether or not they were a motivational speaker or they were an agent or whatever it was, they all have their own problems, right? I mean, from one woman who flunked out of high school and is now her PhD in resilience and spoke up there talking about how she almost died when she got her license at 16 and went into the river and had to like climb out and someone saved her, right? And she's sitting up there giving these motivational speeches to the guy who is now legally blind and his main source of business is door knocking. Okay? He goes and he door knocks and he fell over and split his pants and he was like, it was so embarrassing. I'm so glad nobody saw me, yada, 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 right? And this has been since he was 17 that he knew that it was going to be peripheral vision and then he was going to become legally blind at some point in time, right? And he went into his car, changed his pants and goes, I can't stop on a bad note and kept door knocking, right? So I'm like, when you wake up, these people all have the same problems, if not larger problems than all of us. But there's a difference. They go do the thing. And it's like a reminder of like, here it is. Did I do it? Right? It's phenomenal. What else? Anything else?
I would just say, I think it's a great thing for the culture of our market center when we did this, right? There's a couple things that I just thought were really cool. Ben and Alex, the fact that you brought your entire team was awesome, right? And to see how you guys made that a priority and we all like engaged in that together and you saw that throughout, that was awesome. So that was very cool. Bethany Nelson, someone wasn't able to come and Bethany thought, oh, Alex should come. So right away, Bethany sent out hey, let's help Alex get to family reunion. and sent it out, and Alex, you were there, and she, by the way, had been there more than anyone else, so she could tell us where to go.
Derek.
Hired tour guys.
Derek goes
Yeah.
3 times a year.
I don't know, did you, I missed the first part of it, but, a group of us went to Cirque du Soleil, and, Derek, in like the beginning of it, sends us a text, says, hey.
I think it was a video.
Oh, yeah, it was a video. It was a video. He was like, hey, I just went to, he's standing in front of a machine that shows $4,000. And he said, I just won this. This is your money. I'll meet you outside. We'll play and have fun. And so he just literally handed a wad of cash to Heather for $4,000. She's like, no, I don't want it. But
It was like, take 100 or 2 and pass it down.
yeah, so that was just a ton of fun. Royce came as a commercial agent, and I would guess he's probably one of the guys that had the most fun on the trip. We saw Royce in a different way, and it was
Okay, I wasn't that.
and it was fun. And Milton's now been to a couple of the different, both to Mega Camp and Family Reunion, and there's just an energy that's growing on there, and it's such a good thing. So Heather already has on her board Mega Camp.
I don't think she was super excited about me putting that. She's like, I need to have this on there till August. I was like, yes, you do.
But there are a couple things I just think is really cool is one, if you are a team and I would love to hear how that impacted your team, but I think if you can travel together, it just bonds some things, an understanding of some things. So maybe you're thinking Mega Camp might be one of those things. But if you're thinking, hey, I wanted to have, like, this was fun. And I used to be a youth pastor, and I would take kids on retreats.
I mean, let's just say that on Wednesday, there was only half of the people that came at 8 a.m.
We might need to do that differently in the future, but there are things that happen on like a retreat that's why I would do them with students, because you get like a bonding and understanding and a collaborative piece of, we're all different teams, but we're all part of the same team too. So I would encourage you, if you haven't been to one, start planning now. Like 6 months to think about Mega Camp, and if you just budget a little bit, you can make it happen.
And I mean, to that point, I thought it was incredible because, I mean, honestly, the whole time, I feel like we were in some capacity together, right? Whether or not it was afterwards, we went and had dinner, or we had happy hour, or whatever it was, we went and gambled, which was incredibly fun to be with the group for essentially 4 days. I mean, you guys left a little early and put all of the luggage in, and we still got to say goodbye. Like, it was a lot of fun, and I think a really good experience of just bonding at the market center. So. Anything else on that? Otherwise, we're going to go into,
And just to follow up kind of on what Kevin was saying with the culture and everyone in the office just being so awesome and great and good people. We were out at a restaurant and Kevin had got too much change back. And he was the guy to say, hey, you gave me too much money back and gave me extra back. So I thought that was pretty awesome. So it just kind of shows the foundation of everyone in the office here and how great of people they are. So that's pretty cool.
And I would say I learned a lot from just the people up here on this panel, for just hanging out with these high producers for a whole week and, having a couple cocktails. We talked business. Yes, we had fun, but we talked business. Even when it was like me, Bethany, and Jacob at 3 a.m. We were talking. We were talking about the market center and how we can improve the market center and how we can improve our teams. They were really interesting conversations, and I took more out of that, I think, than almost anything else. Like just hanging with high performers.
It's really funny that you say that because I think a lot of times that is the largest piece of defense, right? You go and you end up getting information and you implement it, but it's the bonds and the conversations that you have with the people in your market center, or if you're networking with other people, right? That actually are the most valuable. It's relationships. It's the most valuable piece of the entire convention, no matter if it's family reunion, Mega Camp, where you go. I think anytime I've ever went, that has been the highlight of every single one, every single trip. anything else on that piece? Otherwise, we're gonna go into our ahas and nuggets.
I would just add that Sherry's not here because she's sick today, but before we left, she was a little anxious about like her first family meeting experience, what did she expect. And one piece of advice I gave her is like, you're gonna get as much out of it as you can for and go into it with the intention of right now. And that looks so different for everyone up here. So as we transition into yeah, I'll just be super straight. I only went to 2 breakouts in the afternoon. I had coffee appointments or was working a vendor booth, vendor hall, the people like, for me, I'm at the point in my career where the networking and those conversations are more valuable to me than a breakout session. And so what you get out of it though is what you plan for and what you go into it with. This was the first year that I got to go to a private mastermind with Gary Keller, and I know that there's also next one. And that was pretty cool because for a long time I've like grown up within KW and always been like, that's a goal of mine. I want to be in Gary's mastermind. And as our company gets bigger and production gets bigger, those levels continue to change. So I was in the one where either revenue had to be over $1 million. Dirks were in the one where revenue had to be over 1.5. Then the craziest thing is there's another level on top of that for teams that are like there's 15% that's the pirate group. I don't really know what that means, but
You will one day.
What?
You will one day, very soon.
But my point is that there's things like work towards in this company and opportunities where I sat in that room and I was like, holy crap, like this is a really cool room to be in. And to be frank, it's taken 14 years for me to get there. And so if people are sharing aha and you're like, that just seems too ridiculous, like we've all started somewhere and we've all worked our way towards our own.
All right, Kevin, let's start with your ahas first.
Oh, I was at the end.
He's like, that's specifically why I sat down. I do like the one that might have taken some of my advice on the preparing. Like I was seeing Alex over there, Rachel sent me her.
Highlighted.
Yeah, I mean,
One of my ahas that you can see written down right here. Consistency is sexy.
I love that that started it out, and I love that that came from you, Kevin.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that sometimes I think consistency is boring, but consistency is sexy, and to have the spot of that these are the things I do consistent. Jacob Milton. I start my day, I go, and I'm very consistent in those kind of things. And for a time I was doing that, and then I fell out of love with consistency. So that was my tip.
So I went to mostly social media and like marketing classes. Kind of the biggest takeaway I got. So we have a company Instagram and like our personal Instagram. So on the company Instagram, you should be posting 80% real estate and 20% personal, and like vice versa if you just have a personal account, which is really interesting because I think people just kind of want to see you and like your own personality rather than, oh, I just sold this house, or like, which is good sometimes, which 20% or 80% real estate. Another thing, strategy is a fancy way of saying prioritize, which I thought was very interesting. And you can never be too safe with what you post. So if you think like, I probably shouldn't post this, or do I post it? They always say to post it, and you can always take it down later. So be vulnerable in your posts. They were talking about the 5-5-5 method, where you like 5 posts, and this is like, it can be 10 to 15 minutes of your morning or day. You like 5 posts, you comment on 5 posts with more than 5 words, and you message 5 people saying like, congrats on your baby, congrats on whatever, or like happy birthday. And that will just start like conversations. And being on social media, you have to be social. You can't just be posting, you have to be commenting, liking, everything about that. So, kind of my biggest takeaways.
Like the engagement piece of it, right? Is I think, we kind of watch it and think it's just gonna happen. When it's still a relationship building platform, essentially, or strengthening platform. Ben,
Alrighty. We talked a lot about the power of storytelling, and sometimes it's not all about the stats, data, and graphs and stuff, as much as the power of storytelling, because that allows you to be able to connect and build that relationship further. So really even focusing on your storytelling skill, you're able to connect at a higher level with people. Some other quick tidbits, kind of one-line things. An offensive call can be 1 minute versus a defensive call, 20 minutes. Meaning if you've got something difficult that you got to talk with the client about, it's worth making the call, having the 1 minute conversation versus getting the call back and having 20 minutes of fire.
Proactive versus cleaning it.
Exactly.
which to be fair, how many of us are like, ooh, maybe that's just gonna go away? And you're like, it's not gonna go away. Okay, like, let's be very real. But we're like, ooh, maybe, just gonna hope. And then that's the defensive call that comes in. Yeah.
Join a board, join a charity, join an industry board, whether it's in real estate or not, or like a group within the city. Surround yourself with a new circle of people that you're able to influence. It all comes down to build as much influence as you can, and also surround yourself around other influential people, top 5 people, most important. Someone who you think you can never even be in their circle, or to get in their circle, become their friend, build their relationship. There was one example there that there were, like this guy thought he could never be friends with this guy. He worked for 3 or 4 years, starting to play golf, and eventually started doing like 70 units a year with this individual, because he knew that's who he wanted to be around. And it takes time to build that relationship, but go be around those people. And then his 5 buddies, are also going to be high producers as well, who need things in real estate homes. So, sorry, I can probably go on and on. So,
We might come back.
I took too many notes. So for me, I tried to focus on social media, open houses, 'cause that's what my lanes have been as far as this last year. And then I went to a farming one out of curiosity. And the underlying theme through all of it, you said it's consistency. So whatever it is that you're doing, just be consistent. Give it 6 to 9 months. If it's not working after that, then maybe reevaluate your strategy or your approach. So for the farming one specifically, the biggest takeaway I got from that was they actually tailored what they're mailing out and the frequency based on the month. So December, January, February, they were doing 3 mailers. March, April, May, 2, and then June through November, only 1. And I thought that was an interesting bell curve of when to mail stuff out. And then they always said send something sticky, so magnets, post, like something that they can tack up so that it stays a
Like
little bit
actually
longer.
stick.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that it doesn't just go straight to the trash. So for farming, like that's something new for me. I thought that was just a really interesting piece that stuck with me. Overall, Phil Jones, if you haven't listened to him, he's an incredible speaker. I really admire the way he can handle conversations, and just strategize, not being manipulative, but influential in what you're asking and how you ask it. So Phil Jones has a book, Exactly What to Say. If you haven't read it, highly recommend that.
We also have cards. We also have Bill Jones cards if you ever want to practice some of his like lead-ins and whatnot.
For sure. And just a quick from him, I have so much highlighted, but I would say the imperfect perfect outcome was a really cool way to get them to choose the answer you want. So you give them 3 choices, like it could look like this, and let them pick. So you give them the hard choice first, the wrong answer, and then the one you want them to choose at the end. So setting them up to make that like light bulb moment of, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna go with that answer. I thought that was really cool. That was his imperfect perfect outcome. I could go on forever, but yeah, it was really good. If you guys want any more insights, I have.
I also have a bajillion little one-liners. So one, the main thing too,
I'll go fast, but, an objection from a buyer is typically an unanswered question, asking questions, to figure out why they're objecting. One thing too is people like to hear words they say. When you respond, use their words. Like, I know, and it's like, you're not supposed to, like, you're supposed to say primary bedroom. A lot of times people don't say primary bedroom, they say master bedroom. When you reply and say, oh yeah, this is the primary, like, you sound like you're correcting them. So it's just little things of like, whatever words they're using, you like kind of mimic them, will feel more listened to. And then, one thing to add to like a buyer consult at the end of it, you know, you ask what's important, beds, fast, all different things. One thing that stuck to me, or the lady that's on the panel said, she will ask them, tell me what a perfect scene after work looks like. And then also, what is an ideal Saturday for you? Couple, she'll have them answer differently. But they like don't ever mention yard work or being outside, or they don't mention, or they talk about how they watch their shows together or whatever it might be, then you realize maybe the unfinished basement would work for them because they don't need that second space. Or the big yard is not actually as important as they're making it sound, because they didn't even talk about ever sitting outside on their ideal Saturdays. Just kind of like little things like that, because again, this is storytelling, we can tell the story more about them. So educate through empathy. And then one thing that really stood out is the feel, felt, sound. So you would respond like, I understand how you feel. Many buyers or sellers have felt that way. This is what I have found, or this is what they have found. So you start with the feel, you acknowledge how they're feeling. You acknowledge that others have felt that way, so they're not alone. And then you say, this is what they found in the end. And then one last thing before going on was Phil Jones. He was amazing. The biggest thing of cold. So when you kind of get like a cold lead, you reply with OFC, which is open fact responses. So like if someone like reaches out on your website or sees a listing and they come and you get that little notification, you may only have their number. A lot of, you know, your natural thing, like, hello, calling back, see that you're interested in this property, like, what do you like about the house or something, and you're asking open-ended questions, hoping to get the conversation going. You're supposed to do open fact questions. So, do you currently live in this area? So anything that they could just respond immediately, like, do you currently live in this area? If they don't, say, where do you live? You ask, do they rent or do they own? You ask, how long have they lived in this area? All those type of quick yes, no, and then also you've learned a lot more about them because you're trying to learn about them rather than the house. So then you learn what's more important, their kind of timeline, all of those different things, rather than, because otherwise the conversation will go short quickly.
My biggest takeaway, I guess, I went to most of the commercial breakout sessions. I actually didn't get as much out of those. They were pretty kind of high level conversations about the retail market, the industrial market, office market. But where I got the most out of was sort of on the leadership breakouts, where a lot of the big team leaders spoke about how they got to that level, and every single one of them typically said that they wish they would have hired sooner rather than later. For me, that was my biggest takeaway, is use leverage as much as possible. And I've been kind of on the fence about hiring an administrative person for a long time. And I think that's something that I need to focus on this year as a top priority. So that was my biggest takeaway.
Couple things that I wrote down from just being in the mastermind was there's a Japanese term called a misogi, which is like your monumental thing that you're working towards in that year. And so Gary Keller believes that we should always have a misogi, which is kind of your pattern interrupt, meaning if you're experiencing like burnout, or you're experiencing you're hitting a roadblock, like being able to mentally go back to what's the misogi, what's the big goal that I'm moving towards. He talked, one of the things I wrote down is happiness comes before you have a massive life. Happiness comes before you have a massive life, not the massive life before you have happiness. And two emotions can't be in the same space. So, there was a lot of conversation in the mastermind around people are burnt out and tired, and I think it's not just us as real estate agents, it's our clients too. Like the economy makes everything hard right now, and so, if there's burnout, how can we bring happiness, joy, energy, gratitude into that environment? Because it will shift the entire energy of the conversations. And then I really loved this quote from Gary. He said, "Money doesn't change you, it exposes you." Cool.
Awesome. So we did an hour and a half recap with our team yesterday, and that wasn't even enough for us to go through all of our notes. We all have a ton of notes. I'm happy to share. So like some quick little like one-liner stuff. I'd say, I mean, one of his first things at the very opening thing where he has all the like fun charts and stuff that you'll see, he goes out, the data is incredible. But something that you need to all keep in mind is that you might be buying at the top of the moment, but not at the top of the market. Like it always feels expensive when we're buying houses, when our clients are buying houses, but typically at the time we're closing, they already have equity and stuff. So it's just always remember that you might be buying at the top of the moment, but not at the top of the market.
Can I say that that quote has been said year after year after year after year, right? So that means that it's market after market after market after market.
So real.
And it's always true, right? Because it's ever changing. Like, it's like a constant quote and I'm like, it doesn't change. Like that never changes.
Cost of materials are up 50% and land is up 2.5 times. That's in the last decade. Cost of materials up 50%, land is 2.5 times. So that's kind of interesting to think about. Rejection is God's protection. I think that's super cool to think about. So like when you fail, when you're rejected, something better ends up coming. You're learning something bigger and better for the next thing kind of thing. Kind of like your resilience, the ability to bounce back versus buckling. And that's something that can be learned is resilience, which is super cool. Essentially, it's perfect of it. Fail forward. And failing is not getting what you want. Yeah. I get it. Kind of cool. Let's see some other fun bits. For like your events, follow up personally with photos. Like if you take photos of it, text them afterwards. Because like with our events, a lot of times, like the main real estate leads actually come afterwards. Of course, like we talk about real estate when we're there, but a lot of it does come. So it's really easy when you text them the photos that like if their response can go down real estate very, which is awesome. Talk about the offensive call. At open houses, this was something that Rachel actually shared when we were doing some of our recaps, is give the people a treasure hunt to check for something, whether it's upstairs or outdoors, like you gotta go check out the master bathroom or the primary bathroom or something cool to get them to go to.
Oh, I thought you meant like
Like
Trader
Oh,
Joe's
sorry,
has the
yeah.
like wolf and you're like, go find the wolf.
The
You
idea
know, and they're like,
that
and you get a
come
sucker.
back then to you and like
Talk more.
talk about
Got
it.
Sorry. Yeah,
And then the idea is like, because people, they walk in and then everyone always matches like, welcome to 3 bed, the roof is updated. It's like, okay, great. I also already saw all that. So it's like to be that uplifting, like, oh, and make sure to like check out the funky pink wallpaper, whatever it might be. And then they come down and they say like, but then you kind of make that rapport.
Let me know what the let me know if you liked the tile choice in the shower up there, because that was just it. Or something like that, and rather than what brings you in today, open house. Obviously, I wanna see the house, it's welcome in, let me know what you think, let's chat at the end. Circling back with them then, and then getting your questions.
Yeah, lots more I can say, but.
All right, let's see. One thing that really stood out to me was that there's so many different ways to do this business. You just have to become great at one thing. All you need to do and then do that at a really high level. Build a business that someone would want to buy. So become leveraged with systems, people, process.
I feel like that.
Gene Rivers, so just, again, coming back to focus, so just have conversations and find a way to initiate them. Truly listen to people when you're talking with them, they appreciate it more than you know.
I mean, how many times do you have a conversation with somebody you know they're not listening at all? And you kind of want to be like, did you hear what I just said? Sometimes I say that actually, but like it happens often, right? Because you're not actually present in that moment and people can feel that. Like they truly can.
I've always loved,
Parenting, that was one thing, sorry, but ADHD people like focus. The lady, she's a math coach, edible coach, I forget her name, she's very sweet, North Carolina, shorter hair, not rings a bell to anyone. So she does parroting, like as in like the bird parrot. So when someone's talking, she says the words they are speaking in her head. So that way she's like focusing on the exact words and she's not deciding what to reply, and like she doesn't let herself go off. So she's learned that's helped a lot for her active listening, just to, like literally say what the person she's talking to, what they're saying.
I've always loved the quote, people don't care what you know. People don't care what you know till they know that you care. The idea being like, it doesn't really matter if you're the best agent in the world if they think you're not gonna give a shit about them. So emphasizing that first and making them feel cared for and appreciated is like very, very important to establish. Because then you're gonna have that rapport. And then when you don't know something and you say, oh, I'll go figure that out, they have that trust in you to go do it later. But yeah, like caring about people always comes before having the knowledge to take care of them.
Don't give any time to scroll through your other comments.
I got a couple more things. Let's see, Graham Smith was on a panel. He said he has like a bragging one sheet that just outlines his experience and his skills. Super simple. And that you're showing up to provide professional financial services. So how about you start acting like it? Enthusiasm can easily trump skill, so just show more enthusiasm. And then lead gen will make you money, follow-up will make you a fortune.
Cool. All right. So I did a lot of like higher level goal setting, like mastermind team running stuff. Let's see. So starting off with the most boring one to get out of the way. Listings with price drops are increasing, as is new listings in general. It's just something to keep in mind when you're pricing homes, like as we're going forward, is those two things are increasing. So making sure you're accounting for it with pricing and with offers you're writing is very important. And then from Jay Papazan's class, he wrote like a thing about goal setting, things like that. Every yes is 1,000 no's. So every time you agree to do something and you like want to do something, you're saying no to 1,000 other things you could do in that moment, or 1,000 other people you work with, yada, 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 all that stuff. And in line with that, you're always going to disappoint someone. Just make sure it's the right ones for the right reasons, because you cannot please everybody, because sometimes pleasing one person means displeasing another. So just making sure that you're picking the right people to like put your energy towards. Another thing he said is he crosses out 1 to 2 of his annual goals every year by April. And it's just a statement about being okay to like shift your focus and let go of things you don't want to prioritize, even if they're goals you set before, as long as you're like really looking at it and going, well, do I still care about this? Or is it still a priority? If it's not, don't be afraid to nix it. Just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And then moving on, don't try to do something, say that you will do it. Be all in on the important parts of your life, you know? Just always having that like that mindset in your head of like, I'm going to do this, it's gonna happen and I'm gonna do it right, as opposed to just trying, because that might set you up for failure in the beginning. I was also at a lead gen panel with a lot of very good lead gen ideas now. One of them was these are
If you don't have a pen and paper out, these are lead gen ideas.
Yeah, this is really
You
good.
could probably take notes on this.
So there were a whole bunch of top teams sharing like their main lead gen sources. So if any of these pique your interest, modify them for yourself and run it. They're phenomenal.
Poor Alex, by the way, every time they said lead gen, I'd like look back and I was like, oh, look, it's lead gen again. Cause I'm like, that was the theme of the like overall theme is you have to lead gen and you have to be consistent.
The first one was 50 first dates. Every week, meeting for breakfast with a new connection, meeting for lunch with a past client, and for dinner with a VIP. This is someone who refers you a lot of business or one of your vendors, something like that.
So yeah, there are
And-
teams that require that.
Yeah.
Every team member do that
Yeah.
every week.
Well, like
Every
one of all of those once a week, every week. So you're doing 50 first dates every year. The idea being you're meeting with those people to just connect with them. And I thought it was very, very interesting to keep people for keeping people in your sphere and keeping those connections up. There's a phrase called the reverse gold 100. The idea is finding a way to get people to call you, ideally 100 or more times in a day to that way, instead of doing outbound calls, they're calling you. It's an easier way to do connections. I know we've had success with this as a team. We've done sweepstakes in the past, given away money and given away money for, we called it a vacation package. And we had hundreds of people calling in? Yeah, literally just calling to sign up for that. And we were all and then it was just Rachel, Ben, and Alex on the phone going, hey, how have you been? Oh, that's so great to hear. Yep, I've got your name right down here. So how's so-and-so? How's this and that? Making conversation.
Humans are suckers for
And it was
free stuff.
all day.
Like-
Crazy. But it's a great way to get hundreds of people to call you without having to call hundreds of people. There was the idea of the promise at the first substantive meeting with someone, at a buyer consult appointment. Promise them that there will be a problem and that you will be there to solve that problem while it happens. And then say, the only way I know that I've kept my promise is that you send me a referral for a person who sell a house. The idea being later on, you can ask if that problem was there, if it came up, and then go, oh, great, well, I'm happy I could help. Don't forget the other side of it, and kind of find a way to give yourself a second time to mention that referral thing. And it's just a nice, easy way to mention that to clients that feels very genuine to ask for that referral in a safe, effective way. They also gave the example of pick 2 or 3 things you want to do that you don't get to do as often, using them as a vehicle for lead gen. The example they gave was someone who has a board game night every week at a brewery. So he goes there and just sets up a bunch of board games and then invites all of his friends and all of his buddies to come over and play whatever board games are there. Because he was like, I don't get to hang out and drink and play board games enough with my friends. I'm going to start doing that more. So if there's anything in your life where you're like, I don't get to do this as much as I'd like to, there are oftentimes a lot of ways where you can find ways to make community doing that, whether it's starting a running club or starting any sort of thing in your area. There are ways to get to do those things and also keep it productive and efficient. Be careful. And then some miscellaneous, if you have any things about recruiting, bringing new agents on your team, come bug me. I know it doesn't apply to a lot of people here, but I got a lot of little tidbits for that. And then last thing I've got here is clarity is kindness. Be honest and upfront when having conflicts. It's easier to be clear on the front end and is actually being kind when you're clear on the front end. If you are just honest about where you're at, what's going on, people really, really appreciate that. And even if they don't always interpret it as kindness, it is the nice thing to do, and it means that you value and respect them. So always just try to be clear, even when things are different on the front end. That's it.
Awesome. I know we do have a few people online that were there. Does anyone want to add to that?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. First, I want to give a big shout out to Kami and Heather. You see that crew that's sitting up there, to keep them under control and wrangle them is a phenomenal, they put in a phenomenal effort. So thank you guys for that. But I've been to many, many family reunions. I think this was actually one of the best. I'm always amazed at how Gary Keller always has his, he knows the pulse of the market. And I'm year after year after year. I think the only thing that he didn't predict was COVID. He really knows what's going on. It's so unbelievable to get to hear him. So that if there's anything that I could take away, that was certainly it. So it was a great time, and appreciated everyone that was there, and those that haven't gone, highly recommend it, along with Mega Camp. So I think a couple of the panel members have mentioned that start planning now and make sure that you can get there. So that was it. Again, thanks to Heather and Kami for their great direction.
Thanks, John.
I'll let the applause settle down. That's pretty awesome. So my intent on going to family reunion was to spend time with people in the office, and just because I feel like it's really important, and I know that I don't do it intentionally when I'm at the office because happy hour is when I work out. So I don't go to happy hour. And there were a couple things that that I got, and number one is no matter what the class topic is, if there are people in the company who you really enjoy listening to, or you know you will get a lot out of, I always try to hit classes with those people, and Jay Papazan is one of those people for me. He's really powerful, and when I listen to him, it causes me to think in different ways. And I went to a class that was, I just looked it up, Lead Like Gary, Harness the Power of Servant Productivity Leadership. And it was Jay Papazan and JP Lewis. And it was on Wednesday afternoon. And I came out of that class feeling like $1 million. And there were just a couple, like there were some little things that Jay talked about. And I think Jay is, I think we could say he's naturally maybe introverted. I don't know that for sure because I don't know him personally. But he said early on in his career at corporate or on Mopac in Austin, Mo Anderson came up to him and suggested that he take a different path to his office every day, or every time he goes to his office, he should take a different path to his office. And the reason is because if he's so focused on what he's doing that if he doesn't do that, he'll never talk to anybody new. He'll never form new relationships. And so he did it. And of course, now he knows everybody in the building, and everybody in the building knows him. But I thought that was really interesting. And then one other nugget that came out in one of the classes I went to is, and this is kind of, it got some oohs and ahs, right? And it is, automation is to your time what compounding interest is to your money. And it made our room just kind of go silent, but everybody paused to reflect on that. And I think it's really powerful because I don't think people necessarily think about it. And just like Jacob Milton mentioned, the long-term impact of lead generation and lead follow-up. I think that's something with money that people just don't think about, is like the path of their money and what interest rates they are receiving for any of the money that they have, and what they're doing to just continue that on the path of growing and growing and growing. And if you're not conscious about it, it's not just going to happen. But if you put systems in place in your life to automate that process, or to simplify it, or idiot proof it, in my humble case, things just happen. And that I just think that's really powerful, and something that everybody needs to be thinking about, because the big push for your retirement or your next creation of yourself or your financial life is not happening. It can happen when you're 55, but it's really powerful when it happens at like 26, 28, 30, in your younger years, because those things that you implement at that time will only compound over the course of your life. Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate the applause.
Only saw Wendy. So it's 12 o'clock, but anyone that needs to leave, just because again, I want you to know what time it is, but is it okay if we open it up for a few questions for about 5 minutes? So if you guys have any questions from it, or questions about going to a training or just specific, you know, what are you implementing? Raise your hand so that we can kind of go through that right now.
My favorite is that.
Oh, you're, okay, awesome. Any questions specifically for them right now? No.
I do.
Okay.
Okay, so I feel like you're not gonna like this question.
I really love that you would practicing that
Yeah.
too.
Okay, so as we're planning for the next year and what we're going to attend, between Mega Camp and Family Reunion, if you have to choose between one, which one would you choose?
I would pick Mega. As someone that's been both, like over 10 times. Mega Camp is, in my opinion, less overwhelming. It's all the information, like it's less picking. So like if you wanted to like be seeing breakouts, which I don't know if there were lead breakouts, I'd have to go back and look. Where Mega Camp's all big session. But for me, I feel less overwhelmed at Mega Camp. And what Gary delivers is still just as good as what it is at Family. So it's big session the entire time, not very many breakouts at all.
I like Family Reunion for the opposite reason that I like the breakouts. So, but it is definitely like you run it.
You get lost. Courtney's laughing at me because I got lost like 5 times. I asked. Things are this big and they make no sense. They're like ocean view room versus this. I'm like, well, we're.
Well, Mandalay Bay is gigantic,
There's no
right? So like, it was difficult, yeah.
Well, you
And the
couldn't find
signs were
Bayside
horrible.
G.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what, so, yeah. And there
So,
are still like panels, they just do them in the big group instead of like breakouts. So they do still like hone in on different topics, it's just less like selective.
It is probably a personal preference. Like, so both at some point, see which one you like. The more you go, you'll be clear as which one makes you more, which one you get more from, probably.
I would say if you've never been to Family Reunion, and you've never been to Mega Camp, I would highly suggest going to Mega Camp ASAP, right? Because when you go to Family Reunion, I mean, even here, it was like, which one are you gonna go to? And there's like 3 breakouts at the same time that you're like, okay, which one should I pick, right? So if you are not completely honed in on what you want to focus on, you are gonna be incredibly overwhelmed, right? Like there was one, I had 2 at the same time period. The first one I went into, I was like, I don't really like it. Like I didn't like where it was going, so I left and I went to the next one, right? So it's just it's a longer period of time at Family Reunion, than it is at Mega Camp, where you can get the information, kind of like what you said, at Mega Camp in a larger, shorter period of time. Like larger setting, shorter period.
You don't have, Gary Keller always says, and some people don't like this, but get beyond the word. He always says you need to find your profit. And so if you don't know certain like people that are on panels at KW, because they do, you see some familiar faces year after year. I think that's really helpful is to figure out like who you want to follow. Because like both Jacob said, there's a million ways to do this business and will spin your wheels and not be successful if you try to do 3 different people's businesses and make it yours. Where the reason I partnered with Ben Kinney is because Ben Kinney was a mentor of mine for over 8 years. So it's like, he was kind of the person that I was already following, so it just made sense. So the cool thing about Mega Camp is you get exposed to a bunch of different people quickly, so then you kind of pick, hey, I relate to how that person operates their business. And you can do that before Family Reunion too, by just connecting with the different technology options that we have at KW, where you can watch videos of people's presentations, but
And to be fair, everyone that is up on that stage or that is presenting absolutely loves having people follow, right? So when you see their name up there, take a picture, find out where they are, email them, and just say, hey, I was really interested in this. And I guarantee you, if it's not them, they will have someone on their team get you the information that you want, right? I mean, that's part of, I mean, again, they like being up there. They like sharing their story because at some point in time, I'm sure they learned from someone else that was sharing their story, right? So connecting and not being afraid of that. I mean, it was super funny because I got a text from, I'm blanking on her name, with Glover. Taylor? Yeah,
Yeah, Taylor.
Taylor. She was like, oh, I miss seeing you at family reunion. And I was like, oh, yeah, me too. I was like, but it's like the connection piece, right? Where like you start talking to these like people and they're people, like they're human beings. There was a 26-year-old up there that had a GCI, I think of like 1.6 million. And I was like, he is 26 years old and looks like a baby and like just crushed, right? I'm like, people. They're people that are just really good at their trade.
I would just say as well is if you are gonna go to family reunion and not mega camp, the Market Center played the vision speech from Gary, right, in here. And I think when we go to that, we go, oh, this is gonna be a rah-rah event, it's gonna be great. When we go and listen to Gary talk, we're sitting there like this, taking notes, and it's not flash, it's just this. And I think if you're not traveling, I do think there's wisdom in setting your schedule to go, okay, I'm going to attend this and be able to hear him talk about all. One of the sayings is KW is you can give everything away because no one's going to do it anyway, right? And the slides that are very few people are going to take advantage of. The slides that are available that Gary puts together that are available now, to see how he walks through and the value you could bring to someone if you were able to speak intelligently, not just I think the market's been doing this, but this is what patterns you have, and then they're in command, so you can take them and you can use them as you will. There's just a lot of value in that. So as the Market Center says, hey, for those not going to family reunion or a mega camp, we're going to offer these things. I do think there's a lot of value in showing up for those and scheduling around. I'm not just going to pop in for, a half an hour because you're going to miss it. You're not going to get, it's really I got to sit down and take this class and listen to those things.
So I was talking about this with my daughter because she asked a lot of questions. She's like, tell me a little bit about Gary. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, how long has he been doing this? And I was like, well, it's been 40 years, celebration of the company last year, right? And I don't know if you guys saw, they also have profit share now, over 2 billion. And I don't think when I actually shared that number in my mind, I was like, that means they profit shared that, right? That means that the company has made a certain amount of that. And that means that this man started this 40 years ago, has created this company and gives his time at these events, right? And he walks around and he's there. And she's like, well, what does he do now? And I'm like, this is what he does now. He still pours into people so that they can make a really huge life for themselves. And I think we all take that for granted. And when he gets up there, it's like the entire crowd stops. And it's not because he's telling some fluff. Quite honestly, he's telling you things you might not want to hear, right? Like one of it was like, hey, where are we going to be? And it's like homes will still be where they are for about 2 more years, right? Which they're lower in regards to where we are. He's not selling you on anything. He's telling you how it is so that you have the knowledge to go do what you have to do and get market share and make sure you're making what you want to make and living the life you want to live, right? And there are not a lot of people that do things like that. And so if there's any reason to go, that is absolutely a reason to just listen to that piece of it.
Or this time where I thought there was a difference than like what an average realtor will know. He walked us through tariffs and why tariffs could be a
Which
positive
some of that was maybe not so great, but
it could be a positive or a challenge for the market, and just understanding how these have implications. It's go, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, I was just wondering if everybody could, or whoever, has one thing that they're gonna implement like right away, something, whether it's something that changed how you're talking about something or a new system in your business.
So I'll go right away. Mine was sexy, consistency is sexy. That's not my takeaway. That's my takeaway, but it's not my act. The one that I took away, I shared this with Derek too. There's always more value in a thing split apart than there is together. So when I do a listing appointment, right, what I do, well, you get a staging consult with me, you get professional photography, you get and I just throw it all in there. There's always greater perceived value when the thing is broken apart. And they use OxyClean for it. Like, come get your OxyClean. By the way, call now. But wait, no, not call now. But there's more. I'm going to give you this spray bottle. But there's more. I'm going to give you this little scrubby thing. But there's more. And to put that into, especially when there's maybe some downward pressure on commissions, to understand that, hey, when you work with me, I'm not just like everyone else offering to sell your home. This is the stuff. There's more. You get professional photography. There's more. You get this, and this. So to break those up and putting that broken up in my listing presentation is one of the things I'm doing.
I'm probably gonna do the 5-5-5 method that I talked about and just to have more conversations on social media.
We're gonna do seller seminars, so we are going to be hosting at the library a seller seminar, like Rachel does a buyer seminar, where we essentially, on the sell side, we're gonna talk about all the scary things about selling, downsizing, inspection, appraisals, the things that scare sellers, so dive into that and quite a big group.
And they suggested to do it at the library, then you get onto the calendar for the library. I don't know if our local library does that, but I imagine that they do. So that,
somewhere public that they have their own calendar that you might not have access, but they're also advertising it.
For me, the open house conversation models is gonna be huge for me. Hopefully more conversion out of that. And, I feel like I'm gonna look at YouTube, because that 26-year-old was only through YouTube, so I'll just give it a look and.
And it's been like a year that he's been doing it, or like, it's like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And he said 50 leads a month on YouTube. He was pretty dry. Like, found him on the.
He had his southern drawl.
Yeah.
He's sitting in a room talking,
Like, there's some things I like just didn't want to believe, and I was like, that's insane. Like, that's insane.
His one pager is in Connect. I would have to look it up.
yes, Will.
Thank you.
Well, yeah.
I didn't write his name down. It's Will something from South Carolina.
I think he's 28.
Yeah, I think he is.
Sorry, not 26.
Storytelling.
Yeah. Kind of what everyone has said to open houses. I also like videos. One thing that I didn't say, but I sent to Katie, is the difference between, everyone always says like, have your elevator pitch ready. And Phil Jones is like, forget the pitch. No one remembers a pitch. Figure out your rant. Because people love, when you're mad at a problem, they will trust you with the solution. And people will carry on other people's rants and like, but they won't carry on your pitch. So like a rant, be like, what drives you crazy is when people say they're waiting for interest rate, when really waiving is more acceptable. Whatever it might be, you come up with your 3 to 4 rants, and they're, that 1 to 2 minute thing, and then family and friends will see how passionate you are about something and will trust you with the solution. And then when they're out to dinner or something with another friend, you're like, you know what? I just heard this from so-and-so, and this is why they're mad about that. Like, you might see that on social media, but it's not true. So have your pitches, have your rants ready.
People like she said are sharing your own rant, so they're passing your rant along.
Like we ranted on Saturday, we were ranting about how prices are going up, and on Saturday, and talked to the people on Sunday. So the people we were with Saturday night, they talked to a friend, was like, shared what our little rant was, and the next day they reached out. Monday night we had a listing appointment and a buyer consult with them because of the rant. So it's just like them, because we're so passionate about it. They talk to somebody, and then boom, they're calling you, kind of thing. So real. Yeah.
Instead of your elevator pitch, like, yeah, things are going crazy, it's like, they're not passing that along.
What was your rant about prices going up?
Oh, yeah, our rant is crazy. The same house right now from 6 months ago would now be worth $100,000 more. So good you bought, it's like, and it's just talking about a real experience. Right. You just had go on. And so they went and told their buddy, and he's like, oh my gosh, you need to buy it tonight. You need to sell our house to go buy it.
Another rant topic was like, oh, I was dealing with this in an inspection period, like, oh, I had a stick up for my buyer because of this, we found this in the inspection, we got the seller. And it was like, I got a win for my buyer, but like you're ranting about it to someone, and they're like, oh, I would have never thought of that, but you had it covered with another rant topic too, which is
They
like, to
trust,
show
when
your
they're mad at a
expertise.
problem, they trust you with the solution.
Yeah.
Appraisal issue, whatever it is.
All right, you got 2 minutes to go through everyone else's things, and then we're gonna let everybody go.
Me, I am going. The best, at some point this year, the best takeaway or question I thought was, someone, I can't remember which panel they asked the question, but they're like, where do you want to see yourself in 5, 10, 15 years? Picture that, and then they had a follow-up question. Now, where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15 years if nothing in your business changes? Doing the same old thing, been doing it. I feel like for me, I've been doing that. I've been solo agent for 10 years now, and I want to have a big business. And I think I need to hire someone, leverage if I'm going to be.
Mine was kind of similar to Royce's. Jamie Kern-Lima was the keynote speaker on the last day. And her question was, what's one way you're hiding in plain sight or self-doubt has cost you in your life or business? And then think about what that is. Think about where your life will be in 5 years if you still haven't changed that. And then what hit me is when she asked, what will your life look like in 15 years? Still haven't changed it. The 5, I was like, okay, I'll be this age, like, I'd still be okay with that. And then when she said 15, that hit hard. I was like, I would not be okay with that in 15 years. So my 2 implementations right now are talent attraction content, and then 1 hour of lead gen a day, like no excuses. It has to happen 5 days a week.
I'm gonna implement more storytelling, so in just normal conversation and with our appointments kind of thing. I mean, we still have some stats, but I think storytelling can be powerful for getting points across and just showing how valuable you can be with things that you experience. And there's a really good book. I don't know the name. I don't know if one of you guys remember it in my notes, but about storytelling that sounds really good. I'll give you the audiobook of it. It's like the one who tells the best story.
Story wins. The one who tells the best story wins.
Gonna tweak my follow-up plans, making them more efficient, automated. One of the takeaways I had on the recruiting section was give more energy to the hiring process and the onboarding process. The idea of like filtering heavily to make sure you're like recruiting the right people, and just like a lot of little things about adjusting the way that we bring agents onto the team that I need to be like researching and figure out how they work for us. So
Awesome. All right, let's give them a round of applause. Interested in going to Mega Camp, please email me so that we can get you the information for that. And then wants and needs, go to Lydia and she will send those out. Need to be to you by 2 and she'll send those out later today. All right, have an awesome day.
Awesome, guys.